Today's going to be a bit of a healing tour. And so we're going to begin with energizing the flow of lymph. So I want you to start sitting on the bolster. Start with a comfortable cross-legged position. If you need to place some blocks under your knees so it's easier for your back and your hips, hey, 2 blocks will be good. And I want us to begin with simply rolling the shoulders back. So this easeful motion of the back muscles kind of centering into the arch. So you might feel when you push up the shoulders, right? It's kind of a shoulder push up. So when you're moving your shoulders up and around, you can feel, and you might even hear a little bit of noise moving into those bones. Okay. And then I want you just to simply lower the shoulders down on an exhale and let your head tilt to one side. Any side will do, but as you're tilting, let your hands be heavy on your thighs, kind of like there's something on the hands, on the skin of the hands that's allowing you to stretch open the palms and fielding that sensation, that beginning of movement across the side span of your neck. So be curious, you can let your head tilt and turn. You can feel the swivel of the neck. And then as you start to motion to side 2, feel if you can lift your chin up slightly, feel the movement of your jaw resting down. Just be curious and then let your head tilt to the other side. And you can always kind of compare, like going back to side A and feel, how do I move out of my neck? Because we're just beginning the exploration of, we'll call it the neck exploration, right? So we're kind of exploring our neck span, but what it would be a way to create some healing in this area that can feel kind of unresolved. This is an area I would like to, there's some areas in my body I want to feel a little bit of less grip, if I can, even moments here and there. So relaxing your throat. And then you're going to bring your hands sliding off the knees, bring your head center, and bring your hands. So you're going to cross at the forearms or the 2 arms. You're going to cross and make a fist in the hands and then go into some tapping. I'll make it light because I don't know what you're going to hear in the mic, but I want you to create some tapping, and it could be some sound that comes out. It could just be closing your mouth and just feeling that circulation that kind of bounces and ripples from the chest muscles up into the throat, where there's some serious sensory awareness up above our throat into our face. And then we'll lift up our left arm and tap to that armpit. Any arm will do, actually. I think you only have 2 options. But tap to the back corner of the armpit and then down to the ribs and give them a pretty good whack, because they can probably take it, because we're going to get into the respiratory tour today. So give the ribs a pretty good pressure with your hand. And then feel how you push. Do you push with the heel? Do you push with the roots? Get a little bit of a kind of a slap at the side of your ribs. And then you're going to go back to the center, which is kind of always where we might come back to, is the belly, which is what, 70% of the lymph here is in the gut lymphatics, is our belly. So give it a little belly comfort tapping. Let the abdomen dome, let the belly swell a little bit here. Mine is having that kind of morning. It's a little bit in that zone, right? So I'm like, okay, hydrate. Just appreciate what it does. And then I go to the other side for the tapping. So this is just a brief little energizing the flow of lymph in the body. And then we always do that in our restorative. The whole set is going to be energizing the flow, but it's good to bring some tapotment into it. So tapping to the ribs, go away from the armpit and just let the upper arm that's reaching stretch over. Feel the curl of the arm, the elbow. Okay, and then we're going to take a twist any direction. Grab a knee near you and rotate through that core line. So feel the lines. I don't think about my body as lines, I guess, but if you think about that motion and then twisting and then feeling, where does the twist move from? Is it your spine? Is it your waist? It's all of those things. And then go to side 2. And just giving a feeling of movement with the breath, stretching the respiratory muscles right in those intercostals. Okay, last sitting experience here. The sitting will end and we'll take a belt. And I want you to get a hold of it, make a generous reach with your belt. So wide reach. And as you take your arms overhead, maybe depending on shoulders, you have to do a little bit of, kind of shoulder push-ups here. But as you stretch your arms open, think about the openness of the arms. And it just happens to be a belt that's helping you access a deeper kind of reservoir into the lungs. Feel the arms move back. If this is just jacking up the shoulders into discomfort, maybe feel what it's like with the belt forward and just moving into some small movements, twisting. Maybe it's okay to do a little bit of tilting. Give yourself the opportunity to close your eyes and just go with whatever feels interesting for the respiratory elongation. Because I want you to feel as much of the expansiveness prior to lowering down on our back using the bolster. So feel what you can gain with being in a sitting position before we relax and we're not gripping as much. And then relax your grip on the belt and place it off to the side yard. And we're going to start to come into our first restorative pose. Okay, so I want you to begin with your bolster under your ribs. So as you sit in front of it, you're going to take a block. I would lean back on your elbows. Make sure that you're not going to kick a wall so there's nothing too close to you. Blankets behind you, sandbag nearby. Feet are going to be turning out slightly. And when I lower back, I'm going to slide the block under the back of my pelvis. And I want to be sure that the block is supporting not only my tailbone, but feeling it actually support my pelvis. So it's kind of a curious one I find on this, because I think there are some days that as I center back, it's not like a daily thing, but when I find this practice to add this in, I want to find that sandbag and then apply that to my breathing muscles. So this could be, depends on how you're feeling in the gut lymph, right? If you're like, oh, I would love it on my diaphragm. Well, if that's not feeling it's feeling too swell, you might have the sandbag across the tops of your thighs. That to me is where I would like to arrive, but my back may not be ready for that. So take some time, whether the knees stay pointed up or together, or they turn out with the soles of the feet together, right? Or they start to stretch down, and you can still apply the sand to the top contour of your thighs, even if your legs aren't straight, right? Maybe you're just using this as some traction for your, not just the front, but the back. Okay, let your arms open. You can select holding on to the yoga strap if you would like, again, to kind of still feel that cross fiber reach like you did previously sitting. But it's great to just give yourself permission to be supported by what's below you, lifting you up. And if what's on you, such as a sandbag, maybe you move it. Maybe you move it higher. Maybe you move it all the way up to the kind of that contour of the thicker rib area. And then gather your attention on the even rhythm of your breath. And just filtering in through the nose. And notice if you're softening kind of generically your face, right? Is it just like a one sensation of resting it, or can you actually feel the different sides of it. There's two sides. Yeah, you may not have, I don't feel like I've arrived at that where I can feel my right side and my left of my face, my body, where there's muscles and areas that I apply. Um, I know when I apply the brakes or attention or recruiting a muscle, I can feel right and left, but the face, I think that's the final frontier. So you start with just resting your brain and just trusting the process. Let's just be here and receive this pose. And the breath motion is continuous. And this would be about the time you might go down to one blanket if you find that the neck is capable of having less hold. But if support is good for you right now, I wouldn't change a thing if it feels comforting. But if you do slide back one of the blankets, just notice that extension in the neck. Most of our day we're rounding a little bit more than we would like to admit in our neck, but it doesn't mean that's for you, right? You might go, well, I think that creates more tone, which we don't want to create more tension. So maybe the blanket serves you well. Okay, now if the legs are stretching down, like straightening, I want you to start to hinge at one into the next to bring the knees to point up with the soles of the feet on the floor. Okay, and feel that stance. Feel the stance even if you have the sandbag on without trying to poke the tailbone down even more. Okay, try not to push the tail further into the block right now. See if you can almost try to push into your feet and do just a micro, like just a tilt, a little bit of a pelvic tilt, just a micro dose of circulation in the gut lymph. So there's just this tiny little, you can feel the pores in there kind of activate. Okay. So we have activation in that, drawing it into the core. And then we're going to move the sandbag off of the front space. And we're going to start to move our hips to the right. So we're going to come into our side sage pose. We're going to do our simple sage, delivering the sage poses in. Okay, now I'm finding if I drop my tail right here and then I just pull the block out, I'm not really creating any actions of kind of responsibility in the middle. So I'm going to push into my feet like I mentioned, right? I'm going to slide the block out. I'm going to toss it overhead. And then I'm going to start to roll into the left rib cage. And as I roll, going to slide my knees in so they're on the mat because I don't want to be off the mat personally. And just feel as you're leaning in. And I've been playing with how I used to do sage pose, which is when we had the bolster lengthwise. So feel free to explore that. I'll bring it up here so some of you might go, oh, I remember we did that a long time ago. So I used to teach it this way, where we would be like this, right? And it's the bolster was lengthwise, but I have found that some of us, as our shoulders were aging, wasn't too kind to our shoulders. Some of you are fine, probably, where you could put a sandbag here and reach your right arm over and hold the right wrist. I don't find it as restorative. So, but it's all up to you. So if you want to kind of revisit that, you can try, okay? But I'll demonstrate it in my body, what I feel is a little more healing for me. So I got my sandbag and I got my therapy ball, the softer one. I'm going to place that underneath that right knee. So my right thigh stretches back. My left thigh, I grab a hold of it and I bring it up to the bolster next to it. Okay. Now, taking your block, I know some of you have round bolsters, so you know who you are. You might be using that for this one under the ribs, the round one. Okay. So here's the difference with a tennis ball today. So if you got a tennis ball or any kind of smaller therapy ball, lacrosse ball, whatever you got, place it just above the side of the left knee at the base of the IT band. So if you touch your knee, and you go, okay, there's my knee, there's the side, you're going to go above it right into, and you can kind of push along this area and draw it across and kind of feel the friction, kind of cross fiber movement. You're going to put the ball there. So it's not on the knee, it's on the IT band. And I don't want it to be behind the knee, no ball behind the knee. Okay, so you're going to lean in. So it's like, oh, a little bit of iliotibial awareness there. Okay. And then sand on that right hip. And if you don't want that tennis ball there, don't do it. You don't have to. There's no requirements. Now, the block overhead may not be what you decide to stay with. You might have your block and move it to where your shoulder is more comfortable. So if you do end up moving the block next to your left arm that's on the floor between the bolster and the blankets, I would make sure the block is pretty low, right? So your shoulder can kind of, almost like when we do that stretch for the deltoid, it's like we don't want the arm to be high. We want it to be lower. Okay? If it's overhead, it's higher, the block. So take the height of the blanket that works for you, whether you need to bring it up a little bit, and then feel where the neck, you be the decider. You might go, wow, today my blanket height is a little different, but you can only be here today. And as you're stretching that right arm, either overhead or stretching the deltoid with the arm next to your left, the right arm next to the left arm. Okay, and then come into the experience of the ribs in that reach. Right, kind of a little rib revolution here. Also feel the tailbone as if it's kind of resting, right? You're not trying to push your tail back. You're not trying to tuck the tailbone under. You're finding a relaxation at the tailbone. And then how about resting the left side of your face, the jaw? Maybe you turn your head a little bit in, or maybe you turn your head so you're on the back of the skull. And just feeling that range of breath. And you might notice the ball that's pushing to that left knee. You have one at both, probably. Some of you don't use the softer ball under the right knee, but try to let the left leg relax into that ball. You can bring your left foot closer towards your right leg. You can move it away. You'll feel different pressure on the IT band. It's pretty subtle, but it's a good kind of root energetic, kind of like a acupressure point, right? Or like an acupressure needle right there, just holding energy that's held up. And we're going to try to open up that gap in the IT band or create a gap. Okay, now let's take a simple, easy twist here. So we're going to move the right arm off the block that you might have to get the sandbag off the hip, and then find your neck moving so you're turning to look down. Move the ball aside, both of them, and then you're going to rotate your collection of ribs, your rib collection. And from that side span, you're going to take the collection to turning. I'm almost kind of hearing the sound of what that would be if we had a sound experience right now. So you're going to turn and put your bolster so it's lengthwise. I would put a blanket on top of the short end. And then as you lower down, I'm twisting and working my digestive tract and stretching through the descending colon open. Okay, so I'm not going to try to smush my belly, although it's going to get some smush, but I'm rotating and then relaxing down. This to me has become a relaxing pose. Okay, so as you rotate, you can let the right leg move back You can stack the right leg on top of the left leg. And I would try them both. Now, if you can get a sandbag across your lower back, go for it. It's a little tricky to get a sandbag on your back here. And maybe a cat on your back would be easier. But as you're turning, the chest is relaxing and getting some deep touch. So starting to feel this practice as also being touch, right? There's touch from the props, there's inner touch with the breath. Feeling the left side getting that pressure. You might not even be able to feel the expansiveness of that part of the abdomen, but the right side you can actually feel. Okay, now as we shift into some symmetry and balance in our back, okay, let's try to reach the tailbone away. So again, not pushing your tailbone under or tightening your lower back. And again, not trying to put too much energy into tightening things. You want to just reach the tail back and then come to hands and knees. And if this isn't okay for your wrists, you can put blocks under your elbows. Okay. Which I am enjoying this from time to time because I think it's a deeper reach in my core. I think when I'm here, I do spend, and you can put your hands on your blocks. I rely a bit on my wrists. It's like, So I want to encourage you to motion your back into stretching both directions, not just your spine, but also the muscles. Right. So if you have your hands on blocks, it does make you feel a little bit longer in the middle, a little bit more length. Okay. If you have your elbows on the blocks, you might feel like you get a little bit more kind of deeper into the core organs, the corgans. Okay, so the knees are separated, right? They're not pushing, the thighs are not pushing together here. So let the hips tilt, let the spine motion. Okay, and then as we come back through the arching back, let's let the toes hook under. We're going to push back to an option of maybe a down dog, or you can push back and come into Uttanasana. This next little piece, we're going to use our ball, the small ball. Okay, so if you've got a tennis ball, this is a spontaneous addition. Okay, so we're going to lift the knees up, and as you alternate bending your knees, you can stretch from the ball to the heel, or go ahead and migrate on back to your feet. There's no requirement to stay in down dog. And you are kind of a inverted person right now. This is more inverted than if I was in legs up because my head is below my heart. Okay, so I am getting those benefits towards the brain, that circulation advantage, and my neck can just dangle. I don't have to hold my neck or put pressure on my neck. I can just let that back line release. And if the hamstrings are feeling it, bend your knees a little bit more. The hands can hold the elbows. They can bring pressure to the back of your lower leg and your calves, which are going to get quite a bit of love today with the ball. So you might kind of rub into your calves a little bit or tap them. And then as you come up, see if you can press straight down through your heel bones. And then you might feel that arch in the spine like we did in cat cow. And then as you come all the way up, pace your breath because your blood pressure is, a little bit lower now, like when you come right up. And then I want you to get your hand to a spot in the room so you're stable. I like to have my hand touching a wall or a chair or a ledge. So then we're going to get the hard ball and we're going to be rolling under our foot from the ball towards the heel, but it's really going to be ball and the arch is our main. That's our main travel with the ball. Okay, don't feel like you've got to get it to the ends of the earth of you, which is your feet, right? So, but if you feel like that's kind of fun, you can do that. So, tendency here is to just go up and down the lane of the foot, the back, the spine of the foot, but it's also kind of interesting to circle it. Okay. I think this one comes with practice. I don't think in the beginning when I was rolling my feet, I was really able to do both. You don't have to pick up the ball with your foot, but if you're feeling so capable with the toe motions. And so when you feel that movement of energy in the skin of the foot, okay, then I want you to bring your heel down. Again, you could do this without holding something. I'm aware of that. Your heel is down and you're going to turn the foot outwards. It doesn't have to go all the way out and then in to massage the arch. Okay. Try to let your foot just be like instead of trying to perform or get your toes as wide as possible, just feel the pressure in your foot because they'll actually feel different after this. They'll feel like bigger feet usually, and it may be temporary, but all you got is the moment. Okay, now go to side two. I would take a moment in your feet and just feel, maybe close your eyes for a nanosecond and just notice the difference. And then go to that second side and just get into that rolling. I find that holding something helps me go a little bit deeper, but I can still do it without. But there's nothing you have to prove. If you're wanting to touch onto the wall, I would just go for it. And it might be a little bit of crackly. Some people, one foot has a little more of that than the other. It's kind of a snap crackle. Sometimes you got a little bit of a hang up in your foot. Okay, so kind of find those areas maybe that are a little tight, and you could push into the ball and turn the foot in and out. If you've got calluses or corns or neuromas, this is so good. Yeah, if you wear one side of your foot more than the other, the calluses that will show up, and this is a really good one to find the other part of my foot that I just don't put my weight into as much. Okay. And then after you've rolled the foot for we're doing about 45 seconds on each. And then the heel is down and you're going to turn the foot in and out. Watch that the knee stays bending on both sides. So a little bit of turning, but I'm really focusing on the skin getting that pressure. Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting because the skin that your foot is in is usually put in, often in boxes most of the day when you're walking outside. So just to get it some good deep touch with movement, not the same direction all the time. Okay. It's a good thing for me to remind myself. This is one thing I would like to add this year is do a little more of this just when I'm sitting, but I'll have to get a reminder. All right, but I'm doing it now. Okay, so shake it out. If you got a wall nearby, I would shake out each leg and foot. Okay. Oh, got a little crack there. All right, not too much, not too little. Come back to your forward fold. Now, I like a wide stance forward fold. It's a little more complimentary in my pelvis. It's a hip opener pose. If I have my feet together this way or even hips distance, it's not a hip opener pose. So I've got to bring the feet out to a wider stance. I can have them parallel. I can have them turned in. I can do whatever I want with my feet, luckily. So as I move forward and hinge, it's kind of like a squat, right? You're going to let your hips reach back. You're going to bend your knees and you're going to fulfill that support up the leg span. I can feel the legs kind of filling up with that circulation and tone. It's kind of cool. Stretching is kind of interesting, isn't it? Okay, so as you're lowering down, take a moment here. You might swish a little bit in the ribs and the abdominals, like your body's in a blender. It's kind of the whole class experience. Okay. All right. Now, as you walk your hands on forward, this could be a little bit of a task to get here. You might find, okay, how am I going to get there? I bend my knees. I just trust in my body, right? So you have to alternate. I would say you also have to walk your feet back, right? And then come down to hands, knees. All right. Okay, so we're going to go to side sage on side 2. And so I want you to get your blanket stacked up and you got your bolster. And now the thing that you might not see, since I'm going to turn towards the other direction, is the ball is going to be the hard ball just above the side of my knee, okay, on the IT band. So if I draw a line down, my lateral rotators here, yeah, it's kind of a little, it's meant to be a little bit interesting in there to hold things together. So I want to put the ball like it's my little acupressure project here. So lean in, add the ball, add another ball, and then grab a hold of your sandbag and place it on that outer left hip. Yeah, and if you're feeling like, well, this is a lot of hip stuff, yeah, we do quite a bit of hip stuff in this class. And we used to think it was always a pigeon pose that did our hip stuff, but we're actually doing a lot of holds in our hip poses. So blanket might have to go a little higher. One side might be different than the other. So for instance, I lie when I rest more often on my right side. So this side has a different amount of flexibility on the left side of my neck. That's just my habits that over years, lots of years. Okay, so I have to add more blanket for me to feel relaxed. So you might not, and the left arm can go overhead to the block, or you can move the block to the left, anywhere you like. But relax your face. Yeah, what does it take to relax your face? It's placing your head in a position of support and extending your side body long. And just breathe. You can wiggle. You can fuss a little bit with the leg parts. Some people with the ball at the right IT band likes to kind of roll a little bit up and down and kind of notice, wow, that's quite the tight area. Just be careful you don't start to apply the ball to the knee anywhere. It's going to be muscle above. Okay, and feeling where it might be tightened up. Maybe you stretch the right leg out like a scissor kick. And just continue to arrive in your body slowly, polishing it. It's going to take a little time. Now feel the thicker parts of the body just relaxing into the bolster. Now feel the thicker ribs. That could be dependent on your exhale. It might be the inhale. That's where I feel it right now, is where I feel that pressure because it expands. But regardless, either one is fine. And then that left arm, you're going to start to feel this continuous movement span. You can live in your body and never do any of this, right? So, but this way we kind of we're really working on a bit of a tour through the body, tour to body. Okay. And some parts are going to have some issues. So when you come around, I would say move the ribs to the right and then come up, take the balls aside, and then start to feel this tour to ribs, right? So I'm rotating. I'm going to take my bolster and turn it. I move the blanket so I have one blanket on the short end, one blanket underneath. I think this is a great one to do. Sometimes the blanket under the hips and the core, if you've been doing that, that's good too. So I didn't show that the first side, but if you're feeling like, I want a blanket under my hips, take a blanket under the hips like so, but come into it if you're ready. So this is a demo for those that are feeling like they need something different. So come into the pose of the prop of choice, but those of you that need something different, you could put your block under your bolster like that, and then your blanket on top, blanket under hip, and then come down. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of good either way, I feel like nowadays. But there are some times when, for instance, my tailbone feels things, my sacrum feels the bone feels sensitive. There's just times that happens. So you've got to find, okay, maybe today's that day. For whatever reason. It's almost a full moon. Don't know, right? So when you're turning, your shoulders are relaxing. You can be forehead on the blanket as long as your nose is not getting smushed. And just come into it for this side for any reason. If you don't have your head the same direction as the last side, that's okay. All you have is right now to make some choices for how to support your body. If you need to stack the thighs, if the hip feels like it needs a little bit of stretch at the back of the hip, if you're stretching the front of the hip, the left leg is just a little bit back to stretch the hip flexor. And just letting the chest relax. And even accepting the parts of the shoulders that kind of roll in on this one and the parts that are reaching out with the elbows. Slide the hands in under the shoulder-ish area. Elbows going to squeeze in to bring yourself up. Notice what you tense up to get up. See if you can activate a little bit of weight in your hip to come up. That's new for me. But usually I just push, push, push. So I'm trying to feel both my hip and my arms to come up. All right, now clear your space a little bit. We're going to start to massage the calves. So I like to do this without sitting on anything because I end up sliding around and falling off when I'm sitting on. So that's me. Some of you might want to sit on a bolster and then you can have the block in front. So here's the gist of it. You've got a hard ball. This is our pre-inversion part. This is kind of our prep for kind of letting the legs drain out. So you have a block, you got a hard ball, and then you got a right calf to put on it. That's basically it. Okay. Now, if you want to sit on a blanket or get some height under your rear, it might be comfortable for you. But if you find that you can be on the ground, the wrist could be an issue for this one. So you might need your blocks. Well, actually, you only have two blocks. Oops. You can put your elbows on your bolster. Okay, that's an option. You can lean back on your elbows. Okay, so if it's hurting your wrist, I would do that. And then you're going to roll across the right calf. Okay, unless you got to go with left calf first. Okay, so as I'm rolling across, I'm rolling in the middle of my calf, but it's a little bit lower. So if I kind of squeeze this area that's very dense, fascial, kind of fluid rich, I'm actually finding all the weight I can onto that ball and I'm just sweeping across. So pressure and movement. You could just take it easy. It doesn't have to be some serious, purposeful. I'm pushing as hard as I can. Just stroll across the skin. Okay, that's also really good. Kind of attitude is everything on this one. Okay. Now I start to notice my hip flexor a little bit. Some of us might not. Some of us hip flexor challenged will. And then you're going to pivot your block lengthwise, push the block down. The ball is still in the center. And now you're going to go up and down the calf lane. Okay. So as you feel the foot maybe flexing or relaxing, you're going to stroll under the skin again with that deep pressure with the ball. And if you find a space in there that's really full of stuff, it's just tense, it's really soaked in tension, you can feel that. I want you just to try to get the ball to nuzzle up into that area and feel a little bit of that pressure. Find kind of the end range of it. So it's probably kind of downtown of the pressure. You go uptown and downtown on the knots, and then find where it's kind of knotted up and put the other leg on top. Okay, if that's possible for you. So you put the opposite leg on top and roll a little bit across versus up and down now. So you can be not so much pressure on your wrists anymore. You're just focusing into the calf. They're getting a little caffeinated. Okay. All right. And then I want you to switch sides. I know some of you are used to me doing all the three directions with the calves, but I want us to go up and down the back of the calf focus today. Okay, so we're going to go across. Okay. Your opposite leg could be pointed up. It could be stretching down. It could be knee out. I find I do the most comfortable one. So the knee is up. And I like to do this probably more likely on my back because I don't really need to be on my hands, but I'm here showing it this way. So if you want to be all the way flat on your back with a blanket under your head, it's kind of nice. Just to massage after a walk or pre-walking, end of the day. This one's really good. If you get into bed at night and you go, oh, my calves are feeling it. My feet have been stepped on all day. Oh my gosh, my calves feel so throbby. This is a good one to do. Okay, then turn the block. Okay, be sure the ball never goes behind your knee. Okay, and then you're going to lean. You can't do this with a soft, squishy ball, right? It doesn't do any good. So you got to have a hard ball. If it's pretty interesting to you, you could use like a golf ball. Those are kind of interesting for this. They kind of narrow in the channel different way to the soleus. So this is the heart of your legs. This is the best part coming up because right inside, right, you got your gastroc. I always think of them as lobes. And then right deep in there is that soleus. So we're going to be draining out in a few moments. And we want to feel like we're connecting to the heart of the leg in the middle span deep in there into your calf. Right, which is the muscle that returns the blood back to the heart. It's kind of has some purpose. The soleus has more purpose than just being part of our calf here. Okay, so as we come back, it's also a great name, soleus. Okay, so we're going to take our bolster. Now that the calves have some kind of, they've been a little bit innervated. Let's not do anything with them until we bring them upside down. Don't touch them, right? Just get your bolster. Get your blanket back there. Get your belt. All right. It's like we're on a mission now. Okay. So sit on the bolster and you're going to drop back so your legs go up. Okay. It might not be that like wow, caffeinating, but we'll get there with the belt support. So I've got my legs up. I'm going to shake them out. Okay. Got no hard ball around or anything. I'm just with my legs up. My bolster's under my pelvis. My tailbone is relaxing. Right? I'm not trying to push my tail down right now. I'm just relaxing the hips. And then I'm going to take the belt. It's buckled up. So I like it to be in a loop. And now as I bring the knees in, I can feel the pressure moves up the side vine of my it's in my kidney area a little bit here, pressing. So take a valued breath here as you get that belt to your feet, and then take the legs up. Now, should they go out? Yep, I would go out. But I kind of like to feel what happened in the calves. So I like to have them together and just put the belt to the ball of the feet and go. Yeah, probably if you didn't roll them before you did this, they might feel a little different. Just something. Now, push your feet out. Take a wide stance again, because we already did a wide stance standing. This is a pretty cool set today. I like this sequence so far. Okay. And then let the legs have that reach, like feel legs. If you don't feel a stretch here, that's okay. Some of us might not. Some of us might feel like it's shaky. So find the width that doesn't bring so much of the shakes on. And then you'll place the hands and just do a light tapping. So you're the inside line of the knee, you're not going to be tapping the knee. Okay. It's going to be above, or it's kind of below right now because where you're looking, but it's above the inner knee. And you're going to have that tapping. So it's not on the quad, on the front of the thigh. It's more to the inner, right, the leg pit, right? And it's not at the inguinal nodes, which is higher up, right? So, and it's not at the pelvic floor, but it's going to serve that area well because of the circulation, the vibration. Okay. Okay, now bend the knees a little bit and then bring the tapping to the quads, just the base of them, right above the knee. And then around to the side where the IT band, you had the ball there, and make the tapping more of a fist. So that area can tolerate so much more. It's really not a wimpy area in our bodies. The inner side might need a little lighter tapping for the lymph there, because there's no lymph on the side really. There's no nodes out here. No noding. Nodes are in the inner leg. And then to the back with light tapping, because the back of the knee is a lymph point. It's one of the lymph spots is the popliteal, so the back of the knee. So this is a safe way to just lightly tap. Okay, and then bring your arms out because they've got to be a little tired. Elbows out, hands straight back. If this is too wide and crazy, you can always tighten the belt a little bit, cinch it up. Don't make it so wide. You might decide from the inside out, oh, I need this to be not quite so wide right now, and that's fine. So feel the circulation from the feet relaxing. They slightly turn in here. I mean, you've been with these feet for several years, right? You stepped on them before. So just let them take a break from being stepped on or having to be a certain direction. And using the purpose of having them to help the weight, now that you've got the legs up, is helping you drain out. So reversing the effects of gravity, right, on your heart, your lungs, and the legs. Okay, now let's bend the knees. And I want you to keep the legs still lifting. So you'll grab the belt. You can do this blindly if you want, just to be really curious about the concentration of your body upside down. Pull in the belt and then bring your hands together so they're in a prayer position, holding the belt with the thumb and the index finger. The belt is between the webbing between those two spots, the thenar space. So you've got the thumbs touching the index finger and the belt between those two, and then bring the feet together. Okay, and you might have to scooch the belt on the feet by moving your feet a little bit till it feels like a better spot. It might be closer to the ball. It might be right in the arch. You know, your feet usually spend time next to each other, but These are slightly subtle, different ways of being in them. That's all. Okay, so I've got the arms in that reach. Now I have a bend in my elbows because I don't want to create more tension here. I want to have some, you know, kind of create a little bit more of the synovial fluid motion. You get the WD-40 in the joints. So instead of trying to stretch them and straighten them sometimes, you get a little softness. Because you got to come out of it with lengthening things out anyway. So it'll come. Okay, so I'm going to start to move out in a moment. You decide. Do you want to move your legs a little bit over the chest? Do you want to stay with vertical? I know that's better for my spine, but not everybody has degenerative stuff. But we're all aging, right? So for a lot of reasons, we do want to keep extension and length in the vertebral column and no floppy disks. So you kind of have to think about that. You know, taking the legs overhead might be a little too much compression. So, but some of us like it. Some of us have issues that would be actually a good idea. We all have a different story of what's going on in our back. So take the moment when you bend the knees and you reach the hands up the belt. You're going to walk them up and you're going to lower the left leg down and keep the right leg up. Okay. And today, I want us to do this one with a sandbag on the left thigh. If you're able to use that sand or you have one, and you could put a sandbag on the top of the left thigh. But your option is going to be a couple. You can either hold the belt, right? Not put it behind your head and just stay with the belt to the ball of the foot and feel that calf kind of awareness and the foot awareness because I'm moving my foot a little bit in and out. I'm just curious. And if you've got the belt in that loop and you're like, you know what? I'm going to put this behind my head, not my neck. Make sure the buckle doesn't go behind your head. And you have just the right amount of width with the loop that supports you so you don't feel like you're panicking. But if you're panicking and brain float, it's not for you. Okay. So you got to make that choice. It's not for everyone. So I like to hold this sometimes and just feel the mechanics of my arms in like a muscle reaction. And then notice my leg has a lot of reaction. Okay, whether it's hamstring or just calf. Some of us we've surpassed the hamstring experience. We've done yoga a long time, but now it's the calf. The calf talks. Okay. All right, now we're gonna switcheroo. You get to decide how fast you go, how slow you go, and how you choreograph it, right? So it might be bend the left knee, just push the sandbag off. And then as I bring the left foot up, I might bend the knees a little bit and just kind of rock a little side to side on the back of my pelvis. This feels really good. I need some of that right now. And then I go to the second side. Maybe I rock a little bit more. And then the right leg releases in its own pace. So I can feel like I have maybe a catch in the front of my hip. Maybe I need to move the knee a little bit out and in. And then as my leg moves down, right? I think the sandbag is brilliant for this, but not everybody likes a sandbag on their quad, probably. So to each his own. If you have a sandbag on the top of the right thigh, add it, and feel that support coming from the outside in, right? Not the inside out, I guess, right on this one. So it's the outside in. It's the bolster under the pelvis. It's the sandbag on top of the thigh. Those two things sandwich your leg and also your back in a different sense of stretching and order. Okay. And then as you're holding, some of you will place the belt because you kind of want to let your neck get some traction. Or some of us will decide today is the day to just reserve this one for my calves only, for your calves only on this one. If it's behind my head, it's my neck and my calves. It's like a blend, which is good too. So you are the decider. The bottom leg is trying to turn out. I know it is. So if you happen to be so lucky there's a wall nearby, you can push into the wall. That might randomly be there for you and maybe not. So notice if you tend to push your foot with the flexing decision only, you can turn the foot in and out. You can feel how all these things affect your knee. It's like I'm always kind of captivated by if I pivot my foot, which I must do when I stand on my feet. I have habits, how that affects my knee. Because right now, when I do that, I don't like it in my knee. So, yeah, arrive just where you are with your knee situation here and pull if you're holding on. Flex, of course. And just take a few more slow breaths. And notice where you engage in your hips here. Yeah, different on each side. And one it's the front of the hip, one it's the back and the side. Mostly the back. Okay, now we're going to slide the sand off and we'll slide the right foot in. Okay, and bend the left knee and take the belt off. And as your knees both come up, well, they've already been in the lifting mode for a few things here. Take a soft therapy ball, the bigger one, and place it center of the knees. If you don't have one, you can use a block. They work pretty good, right? Probably not a cork block. That might be a heavy. But the ball or the block between the knees, and then feel that it kind of makes the knees go a little bit out, doesn't it? So I want you to purposely squeeze into it a little bit and then let the knees go side to side. And you find from the very get go on this one, how does the back of the pelvis want to be treated? Like, do you want to just go side to side? That's okay. But you might move the knees a little bit up when you go to the side. You might make almost like this smiley face, right? So it's not just a side to side. It might be side and then it kind of curls a little bit. So you create a little bit more stretch across the sacroiliac, sacroiliac. Okay. That's how you learn that. Okay. Experiential anatomy. All right. So with the waist, now don't waste time on this one. I think this one's important because of the stretch on the side. So your rear lifts up each time your knees go over. And I really like the bumper blocks on this one. I mean, this is like, this to me is one of the good restores is it's a counter motion to it. It's not a still pose, but it's getting us prepped for our kind of, I would say, advanced hip crossover. Okay, so you can have those blocks beside you so you know how far you go over at least. So you're evening it out. All right. And then, okay, feel the knees pointed upwards, the kneecaps, and then bring your knees in towards your chest. And you don't want to go so far back with the knees, right, that you're getting a lot of grip in your back. You have to kind of find when you push your bolster away, just the right amount of movement of the hips up, right? Because you can use the bolster to get your hips up. That's what you've done for quite a while now. So now when I move my bolster away, yeah, this can be issues for sacrum. So you might go, okay, I can feel the body now. I don't feel the bolster as much. So you want to get into feeling your bodily movement, right? So you're going to push into your bolster unless you like to push on the floor with your feet, which some people prefer. Bring your arms overhead and sense what's up with the neck. So should you use the blanket under your head or not? All right. That goes all directions in the conversation of the neck. So you might try it minus. Sometimes the padding under your skull is critical. Like it just takes the whole restorative out if you move the blanket for some people. So it's up to you. I don't think the blanket's so high and so puffy that it's going to harm your neck. Um, but you might feel okay without it and make kind of feel a new day of experiencing your upper spine to your head. So sometimes that's good for a few moments. So notice when you're curling, so you're lifting your hips up, you're bringing your arms back, and try to hold this for a moment with the hips up without making critical pressure in your back. I want you to squeeze the ball. Okay, kind of feel this pelvic movement, like it can go side to side a little bit of rocking motion. And then as your spine lowers down, I like to keep the arms overhead so I can kind of feel that stretch of my breathing muscles. Through my nose, I'm breathing, my ribs are expanding. And then as you bring your knees to your chest, take the soft ball. This is key, it's got to be the soft one. Lift the hips up again and roll the soft ball under the sacrum. Placing that ball after a few rolls across it, you might have to move it higher. You might decide it's just too low. So as your arms span open, you're moving your hips side to side to massage into the sacrum, right at the tip of the tailbone there. And you might, again, want it to go higher or maybe lower, depends on where it got stuck. So moving your hips, but dedicate some moments here where you really are pressing into that ball. Like you can feel the skin gliding. It's definitely gliding on the musculature, but you can also feel that little layer of the skin getting pulled, kind of like taffy. It's like getting apart. Okay. All right. Okay, now bring the right foot to the left knee and then take the ball. I would be a little cautious on this one on how you're pushing and energizing the lower back. So move the left foot down, push, and then just move the ball to the right rear. Okay. And then start to roll. I didn't get that one right. Okay. So be careful because I moved mine to my right rear and I moved it too high. So you want to, you don't have to come up, but your ball is going to be in the glute. It's this big enough ball. It's getting all your glutes, but you want it to not be, you don't want it too high and you don't want it too low. You want it right where it's nerve rich, where it's like, yeah, I can feel that. That stuff needs some touch, right? So feel that pressure and movement and glide. Okay. Kind of feel the glide inside, right? You're using something on the outside to navigate that. And it could feel so tense. It's like, I don't even know how to move it around. But you start where you are. And it's like, okay, I'm just following the movements. There might be a moment here and there where you're like, oh, I can feel that. It's a little knotted up. And you might just stay on it. You might uncross your foot, which I think I prefer today, is both feet down, not one hooked over. I think I prefer feet on the bolster for right now. It changes. Okay. And kind of feel how you hold yourself on that ball on the right glute and then come back to the tailbone. Let the knees go side to side windshield wiper. Feels kind of good. A little bit of it, not too much. And then sneak the ball into the left glute. Okay. So I instructed last time, but don't take it seriously. Hook the foot to the knee and then put the ball under. That didn't work for me getting the ball in the good spot. It didn't end up in the right spot for whatever reason. So you could put the foot up at this point. You might be a fan of that. You might not. You might like to move your left leg, the leg that's connected to the ball that's rolling the glute. You get to move that anywhere you want or not. Okay. And feel pressure and movement. And you want to blend those two in a way that you're learning how to do this self kind of myofascial release work, which the word release is part of this. So you got to go, am I releasing something? Right? I find that when we navigate our way into the next pose, I can release. Okay, now I'm going to lower down on the right rear and I'm going to push my bolster to the right side of my mat and I'm going to cross the left leg over. And the ball, I like to keep it at the back of the pelvis. But, if I forget that, sometimes I don't notice it. It was any good anyway. So it's really an anchor. And my head is on a blanket for certain on this one. And I have my sandbag on the left thigh. Now, if you're not making contact with the bolster, no big deal. You put a blanket on top of it. You can put a block under your bolster to bring it up towards you. And if you decide, I don't want to put my leg this way on the bolster, you can also put the bolster between the knees, right? And that's really nice. It's that fetal position. Some people love that feeling in their back. So you can take a different position with the bolster that way. So got the sandbag on the outer thigh. Now, if you can find that small ball, now that you got stuck in this position. Okay. So if you can find the small ball, I would take the small ball. I know some of you might get up to get it. Place it to the upper left side of the back between the shoulder and the spine. Okay, it's at the upper back though. It's not stuck under your blade. Okay, it's not in the rotator cuff. It's if you were to grab a hunk of your skin on the top of the left side of your back and pull it, that's where the ball goes, the trap area. It may be just kind of hovering over the trap because the traps are so tense, it's just part of being a trap, trapped tension. So the trapezius muscle's got a little ball and you can let the left arm open. If it feels too pokey for you, just roll it out. You don't have to participate in this piece if you don't want. You can participate in the leg part. So if you've got the ball there and it feels like, oh, it's kind of not super pleasant, I would say shrug the shoulder up and down on the left side. And you might work your way through some of those really tight spots in there. The gem of tension, like, if it's just too much of a hot spot for you, then you just roll it out. And you might roll it out in a few seconds anyway and just see if there's any kind of residual awareness there in the upper back. Or just feel how you breathe when there's some tension that you're trying to push through. And where your head can roll. I find the neck movement is really interesting on this one with the ball in my upper back. It's not even on my neck, right? And I feel like it's holding the base, I know that our spine, its base is the pelvis, but it's almost like the shoulder area back there is kind of a little bit of a base for that part of my spine, like my neck. And then when you're ready, I would get rid of the ball for a few kind of final seconds in this stretch for the hip, just so you can bring priority to the hip itself, because you get distracted pretty easily when something is surprisingly a little bit grippier than you thought you were living in. Okay, now switch sides. So take the sandbag off, and then you're going to move the knees over the sides of the rim of the pelvis. So your knees go side to side, windshield wiper. Take the bolster and move it to the left side. You're not actually rolling it, but you are kind of rounding in the back of the pelvis. And then move your hips to the right. You kind of do a little bit of movement with the hips and then cross over with the right leg to the left. Okay. It's probably different, if you've got that, if you're using that hard ball, it is kind of interesting how you sway the hip and all these curves in the body change how you feel tension sometimes. So it's kind of a life practice. Sometimes it's more interesting than others. Sometimes you're just doing time. But, you know, this side I'm going to try to feel I worked a little bit different in kind of creating the curves in my hip and my spine and put the ball there on the upper right side of the back. And it's a little easier for me after I focus more on that contour of my lower body. So it's interesting how you can set up the base to help that upper back. So my ball is at the upper right side of my back. I'm not certain. Got all these props. So it's here. It's not the lower rotator cuff. It's not on my neck. It's not on my spine. And if you squeeze it, that's about where the ball is. It's really right under where your hand would tap. Okay. So it's, another year in your body, right? It's your head tilting forward, and it's definitely an area of a lot of grip from tilting your head forward. But doing a little bit of self-care. And this is an interesting one. If you sit back to a wall and put the ball, you have to do one side at a time, otherwise they kind of fall down. But it's an interesting way to let the neck move and just massage into that upper back. You're going to feel your shoulder, you're going to feel your chest muscles. Take a few slow breaths here. And if the ball at the back is too much, just move it aside. Or you don't even have to try that. So those of us left with the ball at our upper back, do a little bit of shrugging the shoulder up and down, just like we did in the very beginning. We're trying to make a little bit of a full circle here before we do our last pose. So shrugging the shoulder up and down. And it might be a little crunchy. It's not unusual. You might notice that noise or clunkiness. You have parts. This is parts work. And then we go to the hole. Okay, so take the ball out. Give it a couple breaths with the shoulder down again. Chest is open. Okay, and then we're going to move the sand and we're going to make our way to our legs up the wall. Okay, so if you're not a legs up the wall participant, you might be rolling to the side and grabbing a chair and putting your legs up on a chair. So you really don't have to do legs up the wall. But if you don't like to do it because the bolster's too high, you could take a blanket instead. Put your legs up. So those of you that are going to put I would put your legs up on something today. I mean, whether it's your bolster or bolster up on some blocks, get them up, especially if it's, of course, this cools the body down a lot because you're reversing the flow in the body. But as you move your hips to the wall, you're going to have a sandbag. If you have an eye pillow, use that. Even if you use something lighter on your eyes, like I played a little bit yesterday with the two eye pillows I have. One I got at my training last summer with Judith. It's really light. And I wasn't quite deciding why this felt, but it's a lot better it's just so much better. So I do like these really light ones. So they don't sell those on the market except for the Iyengar Institutes, but you can just get a little like a little hand towel or just a little piece of cloth. It's just like when you come out of it, well, number one, you can see better because that weight on your eyes tends to make you a little blurry vision afterwards. Yeah, it took me this whole year to figure out I was like, no, I must use my heavy eye pillow. But then last night, I tried them both for a little bit of time and I realized, you know what? I kind of like this light one. So just consider that. Like, you don't have to go buy another eye pillow. You can just try something lighter, like even just a cloth. It's okay to try other things. Having that curtain of darkness, I think, is good. Closing the eyes, and having a little bit of a curtain on them. So whether you're using a heavy eye pillow or using no eye pillows, you got your blanket over your head like a little, you know, canopy you're in, that's okay too. But as you center back, you have the shoulders in their weight. So this is, a sister pose to shoulder stand. If you think of this one, like when you have done yoga in the past, getting into shoulder stand, you did things like this, right? So it's weight in my shoulders a little bit, right? And they're getting a lot of energy. So try to open the chest in the opposite field and make sure that the height under your head is the right amount. If it's too bulky, you move the blanket away and you make it a little less height. None of us need around our neck more. Okay, we're all trying to get the joys of neck extension. We're all looking for that. This doesn't mean you don't have a blanket, and it might mean you curl the blanket in a little roll. So I would say feel the occiput, feel the shelf at the back of your skull, right above the brainstem, and then that you can actually open up in the face, not just all these body areas, but the nasal cavity. There's these areas here, and then the cheekbones. You're trying to just let this kind of get some circulation. All day long, it's dumping the other direction when I'm moving forward. But now I can just let that open up. And then just breathing in through your nose and relaxing out. Notice that you fill the body up and then you just clear it out. And just taking several more cleansing breaths. Swallow to clear the throat. This is also called waterfall pose because the first pool is the belly and the second pool is the throat. And if you feel pretty dried up in the throat, you might notice the belly can swell up and it just has a little bit more of that fluid feeling. In general, we know when it's fluid filled or it's swollen, or that. And the throat, you might not notice that as much. So take the time to just soften in the throat, relax the jaw. Yeah, very rarely do you hear someone say that they're feeling bloated in the throat. So you want to feel that area a little more quenched. You can follow up with fluids. Perfect. Now, if your legs are up the wall, you're going to shift the feet a little bit away. If you decide, I'm not going to come out of this yet, no one's going to require you to get out of the pose, but you can stay as long as you like, legs up. I recommend it. And as we bend the knees, if you got sand loads, I would say, place it aside. Probably the loud tossing is not required. And then hug the back of the thighs. And then as you kind of squeeze into the digestive tract there, breathe against it, breathe against the thighs so you get that massage. And then just simply roll to a side near you. And let your hands be the last thing. I want you to feel that you can roll your spine and then come on up and find the way into your sitting bones again, like we started. Go back to that tap. So you cross at the wrists, do a little bit of that.